Hello and welcome. My name is Jameson Rabbit, and it is my honor today to be joined by a man who has spent 5 years touring the State Fair circuit. His name is Mike Roth. Happy Halloween, Mike.
Happy Halloween. I'm actually changing it to Cowboy Kitty Man.
Cowboy Kitty Man, I like it. It's a good look.
Yeah, that's my State Fair thing. I run the tilt-a-whirl and,
oh boy,
and dress like this.
Just like this. So, if you,
what are you, by the way?
I'm a fairy of some sort, an angel. Fairy. These costumes were not at all thrown together at the last minute.
No.
Planned out for months is what they were.
Yes, they were.
Yes, and we are in the spirit.
Yes.
So, this week on the marquee, this is going to be causing some problems. I can already tell that. We've got a few movies, some of them scary, some of them not so scary. No. Let's get into the first one, though, on the marquee this week. We have Rock the Kasbah.
Ooh, scary.
Yeah, starring Bill Murray. It's got actually a pretty big cast. Bill Murray, Zooey Deschanel, Bruce Willis, Kate Hudson, and the great combination of Danny McBride and Scott Caan. And Bill Murray, excuse me, is he's a con man, rock tour manager who is deeply in denial. He was a big deal back in the 70s and has not had a client worth anything in forever. And so he is constantly conning people out of their money. And he has Zooey Deschanel as his one act, basically. He gets a gig in Afghanistan. I can't look at you. In Afghanistan, for her to sing for the USO. As soon as they get to Afghanistan, she bolts. She leaves him there, takes his passport, takes off, and he is stuck in Afghanistan in the war zone, and doesn't know what to do. It lives off of his Bill Murray charm for a little while. He meets a hooker with a heart of gold, played by Kate Hudson, easy for me to say, and wanders his way through the Afghan war zone until he suddenly discovers this Afghani girl who can sing. Oh. And he discovers a new purpose for his life, and he wants to get this girl on this Afghan Idol, American Idol type show, the Voice type show. Only women are not allowed to do such things over there. It is not just frowned upon. We will kill your family if you sing. Ugh. And Bill Murray again uses his charms. Bruce Willis plays a mercenary with mysterious intentions, and they're left mysterious. I'm not sure what Bruce Willis's role was in this movie,
but I'm sure it played an important part.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really, I mean, the synopsis I give is really all the movie is.
Yeah.
They're just it's just Bill Murray being Bill Murray wandering around as there's this alternately kind of slapsticky Bill Murray type shtick with super serious, this is the culture in Afghanistan, the Middle Eastern culture, this is serious, we're going to cut a head off. And it's really weird back and forth between the two, and there's never a flow to the movie. It just feels really choppy. Like they didn't know if they wanted to make a serious movie, a topical movie, or just a funny movie.
Do you think if they separated and just said, okay, let's have a movie just about Bill Murray's shtick and leave out all the seriousness, it would be a little different?
I think I'm of two minds, because I think that this movie without Bill Murray would have been just awful.
Okay.
Like he was doing everything he could to save this movie.
Yeah.
And just doing his Bill Murrayest to save it. And then he'd wander in with Scott Caan and Danny McBride, who are playing two crazy mercs over there, and things would get crazy. I think if you didn't have Bill Murray, you could make this serious movie. I don't know if that would have worked either.
I'm sorry.
Look me in the eyes when you're looking at me. This is good. I like it. But ultimately, I think that it just floundered.
Yeah.
Like I say, I tried picturing the movie without Bill Murray, like, oh, this thing's awful. And so ultimately, I gave Rock the Kasbah 2 stars.
Oh.
Entirely based off of his performance, basically.
So bad, but it had almost.
There were glimpses, and there were times, and there was funny moments and stuff. But as a movie as a whole, it was below average. Yeah. Next up on the marquee, sir, hit it.
What was it? Oh, yeah.
2 stars.
All right.
Yes.
Well, next on the marquee would be Steve Jobs, right? Steve Jobs. It is about Steve Jobs. It's a 3-part film. It's the opening of the Mac, which is his first project after he leaves Apple. His second project was Next, And then the third project, which at the end of this launch, it's the end of the movie, which would be what we really know him for, and that was the iMac.
Right.
Later on, he had better, but that was his first success.
His first success, yeah.
And the movie is very interesting, and the way they said it, it's the few minutes right before he launches his big product. In that time, everything is rushing around. You get to see Steve Jobs as the person he was. He's very forceful. Sometimes he's brilliant. Sometimes he's a very flawed person. You get glimpses of his family life and his relationship with his workers. This is a dialogue-driven movie. Extremely, if you're expecting action of any sort, it's not going to be.
Why are there no explosions?
You must love listening to people talk, and you might find the concept of this movie very interesting and to fully enjoy it. I think we have.
It's a big cast of
Yeah.
amazing actors.
It's directed by Danny Boyle, which you might know him from Slumdog Millionaire, 28 Days Later, Train Spotting, some great movies of his. Steve Jobs is played by Michael Fassbender. Kate Winslet plays his assistant, Jonah Hoffman. Seth Rogen, which I think he has done one of his better works in this movie. Seth Rogen has kind of did a downward slide for me over the last few years,
but as Steve Wozniak, he was incredible.
He really comes out as a great actor in this film.
I agree.
I did find, for my taste, it was a little slow. I thought a lot of the acting felt over-rehearsed. As I'm watching people, especially Kate Winslet and Michael Fassbender, at times I felt like they've read their lines over and over and over again. And this was the 50th time they were doing it. And yeah, they had all the emotion correct. It's similar to a play. When you watch a good play, you still look at the people and go, oh, that's how they're doing it every single time. But this movie also had some extremely brilliant moments where you felt really into the film. What do you think?
I thought I liked that that Danny Boyle decided to break it up into 3 very distinct acts.
Yeah.
And there was so much going on with each one, and ultimately the movie is about relationships. It's not about the products. It's about the man, but not necessarily. It's his relationships with everyone around him, with his former partner, with the daughter that he denies, with Woz, with the character played by Michael Stuhlbarg, with Kate Winslet, his assistant, with Jeff Daniels, the relationship that he has with Jeff Daniels' character, John Scully, the CEO of his company, and how all these people in every act, they return to him. Moments before the biggest moment in his life, they come to him, and the chaos starts to swirl, and the storm starts to brew, and I like that they didn't paint him as, oh, he was just a great guy. He was a bit of a monster. His hubris cost him his job multiple times. Everyone lauds him as a genius, but he was a flawed human being who bent the will of everyone around him to get exactly what he wanted done. And sometimes you have to do that. That's part of genius. But he wasn't a nice guy a lot of times.
No, and that's actually one of the things that I found hard to like about this movie. They either portrayed him as a demon or they portrayed him as a god. They never. I
didn't get that at all.
I didn't get the feeling of he was actually a human being.
I got it as him being very much a human being. That was the thing. They were saying, this is him with all his flaws.
Yeah.
This is who he was. I mean, you read his book, this is the way he was. He believed in this way of treating people. And because it got him the results, he didn't care what you thought of him as long as he got the results out of you.
Yeah.
I don't care if I'm a total jerk. I thought that was interesting. I thought there was some great moments. Like there was one moment between he and Jeff Daniels in the second act of the movie where they start rehashing what happened, and they start retelling part of the story that you only got hinted at in the first act. And I thought it was just powerful as they're going back and forth, and these two are trading barbs, and I'm going, Jeff Daniels, man, welcome back. Yeah. You've had a heck of a year.
Yeah.
And I thought that was great. I thought Fassbender was incredible. I thought Kate Winslet, you got some of the best actors out there right now in this, and I really enjoyed it.
For some reason, I just didn't feel it, especially from Kate Winslet. I really felt like they over-rehearsed their lines, and there was a fake emotion instead of a real emotion. I don't know.
I liked it.
A lot of people out there are saying this is great. I'm not feeling it.
Yeah, I mean, it is currently, it's put Michael Fassbender in the driver's seat for Best Actor Academy Award.
Yeah.
That's the talk. To me, it felt very Birdman-esque. It reminded me of Birdman as one man is going through this thing and things are swirling around him and coming to him.
Yeah.
Where he's not necessarily doing a lot of it, but everything's coming to him. And I kind of like that, where he's the center of this storm and everything comes to him. And the relationship between he and his daughter was powerful, I thought.
And I completely agree. I actually felt like it did feel a lot like Birdman, and I gave Birdman a pass on this over-rehearsed feeling because it's about a play, and that's kind of what you get off of a play.
I just didn't get over-rehearsed at all out of it. I thought it was just tremendous acting.
Yeah?
Yeah, I really did. I was pretty blown away by it. And we had a major malfunction at the theater that shut the movie down for 20 minutes, which, with 10 minutes left in the movie, maybe, in the real climax of what's about to happen, dealing with his daughter specifically. And when you take a movie that you're invested, I was very invested emotionally into it, and then you pull it away for 20 minutes, and I'm going, are you gonna be able to recapture that now? Like, you had me deep into it, and then like, stop, pause, and I was able to get right back into it, thankfully. And I just thought, we were talking off air, the girls that played his daughter Lisa, I thought did a great job.
Yeah, phenomenal.
Yeah.
They could have been. It kind of reminded me of the Boy Story. Boyhood.
Yeah.
That's what they should have done. They should have just gotten a bunch of good actors and then cinched
Because
it
they
up.
weren't
Because she was great. I really didn't see the transition between the
was
girls
believable.
as acting. Yeah.
Yeah, and it didn't come off as over the top with the girls. Like, sometimes they're just a little too cute,
Yeah.
like they felt real.
No.
I think you and I may disagree though on our scores
I'm pretty
for
sure.
Steve Jobs. I gave it 4 stars. I was hedging on 4.5.
Yeah.
I gave it 4 stars. I really, really enjoyed this movie, and I think the problem is that it comes out at a time when a documentary recently came out, and then we had 2013's movie
Jobs.
starring Ashton Kutcher, which was horrendous.
Yeah.
And is nowhere nothing like this. That's an issue. But what did you end up giving Steve Jobs?
I gave it a mediocre score. I think there was some great things about this movie, but what I didn't like about it kind of just turned it meh to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what did you gave it 2.5?
2.5, yeah.
All right, there we go. Next up on the marquee, you want to talk about mediocre at best. Giving away my score, but we
really
have.
wish I saw this one.
Yeah, we have on the marquee Jem and the Holograms. Oh boy, based off of the 1980s cartoon of the same name, Jem is directed by John Chu, starring Aubrey Peoples as Jerrica. Jerrica's a girl who lives with her sister and her 2 adopted sisters, I guess. They live with their aunt, played by Molly Ringwald. Talk about welcome back.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and she's a singer, but she's kind of mopey. She doesn't. And one night, she's singing a song into her camera, and she goes to erase it, and her sister unknowingly uploads it onto YouTube. And within 8 hours, she uploads it to her own personal YouTube account. Her sister is just a person, and within 8 hours, suddenly Jerrica is like Beyonce. She wakes up in the morning and it has hundreds of thousands of hits. They're talking about it on the news.
This is the Justin Bieber story, right?
It's not just literally overnight. I uploaded this grainy, dark video of you singing a song, and now everyone wants to sign you. They want you to go on world tours. It's so dumb. And she's like, well, I'm going to be Jem. I don't want to be known as Jerrica. And so she is brought in. Juliette Lewis plays a record executive, Erica Raymond, who signs her immediately. The next day after this video is, I'm signing you, we're going on tour, and you're Jem, and if you're willing to change everything you are and everything you believe in, I can make you a superstar. And she sells herself out.
That is truly outrageous.
Right, truly. Oh, they dropped that line immediately in the movie. Truly outrageous. And with as much emotion as I just gave it. And the problem with this is this movie, I don't know who this movie was made for. It's not for little girls. It maybe is for the 30-something-year-old ladies who grew up watching Jem, maybe. But even then, it completely goes.
Actually, 40s. I
Right.
mean, this is a solid 80s
It's
cartoon.
80s.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm not in my 40s. I didn't watch Jem, though.
Yeah.
But it changes a bunch of things from that. It hits so many tried and true familiar tropes. There's the moment where they're about to lose their house. We have 30 days before they lose their house. What should we do? Go out and search for gold and One-Eyed Willie? No, I'll just become a singer. Like, really, we're about to lose our house, so we need to make money. Tell me if you've heard this one in movies. Her dad was a scientist working on a special project who died while she was a little girl. But luckily, he left her a hidden message that foretold the future. When she was an adult, she discovered the message, and this message from her dad answered all the questions that she had in her life at that very moment.
It sounds like a lot of movies.
It
My
sounds
favorite
like every
Spider-Man.
movie. It sounds like every movie. Just like oh, I've discovered a message from my dad from when I was a kid. He was a scientist who died working on a special project called Synergy, which is this robot that does a help me Obi-Wan Kenobi scene where a hologram pops up. It was the dumbest.
But it's connected to the earrings.
Vaguely. The earrings come into play for about 30 seconds.
I never watched a cartoon, but I was aware that the toy, if you had a button in the back, the earrings, just shined.
It was such lazy script writing.
Yeah.
It was horrendous. Everyone seemed to be just kind of moping through it. So many things as Jerrica/Jem, if she just would have talked to somebody, all the problems in the world would have been settled, but instead she was just kind of mopey and just kind of, I don't want to talk to anyone. And then bad things are going to happen. And you're like, oh man.
Oh.
It was so much wrong with this movie. To say I was the only person in the theater, I mean, that's scary when you walk into a movie opening weekend and you're the only one there.
I asked the people at the theater, I was like, how long do you think this is going to last? I might fit in 3 movies today. And they're like, no one shows up to this thing.
Jem was, look, I'm not your target audience, Jem.
No.
But I still want a good movie, at least. And this was not. It was nice seeing Molly Ringwald.
Yeah.
Juliette Lewis played a halfway believable monster music executive, but the rest of it was just bad, lazy, and I ended up giving it 1.5 stars.
That's pretty rare for when you want to reboot a franchise, And
there's
usually not lazy at all.
There's a post-credit sequence, if for whatever reason you would go see this. There's a post-credit sequence that might be the worst post-credit sequence I've seen in the history of movies. It's really bad.
I might check this out just to see how bad it is.
Go for it, man.
And I haven't seen Molly Ringwald in anything.
Yeah,
for
that
a
was
long
nice
time,
to see Molly
so,
Ringwald. That was nice to see. But I say don't see it, and nobody saw it because it made $1.3 million this weekend. That's awful.
Yeah.
No sequels.
Nah.
All right, next up, last movie we have on the marquee, sir. What do you have?
We have The Last Witch Hunter, starring Vin Diesel as Calder. And, as the title says, he is the last witch hunter. He destroys a witch 800 years ago that cursed him with eternal life.
Well, how's that a curse?
Well, it's boring living forever.
He's got to mourn his family's death
yes,
for eternity.
yeah.
He'll never get over it.
It was very kind of Gladiator.
Yeah,
Anyhow,
yeah, it was.
But we're not going to get into
man, was it
all the
ever.
better movies you could have seen. We're talking about this one. He has cursed with eternal life, and for 800 years he works with the Catholic priests that kind of edge him towards bad witches. And he kills off the witches, and there's kind of a witch peace, but every once in a while someone's not peaceful. He still has to take them down. And then all of a sudden, bad things start to happen. These witches that he's putting down are putting together the worst witch of all, the one who cursed him 800 years ago with eternal life.
This sounds like The Mummy Returns.
It's so many other better movies. It really is. Really, that's it. That's the plot. Michael Caine is in it. Michael Caine's good. I feel sorry that he's doing movies like this. He actually does a lot of bad movies like this lately, and it's terrible.
As soon as I saw Michael Caine on screen, I'm like, Michael Caine, what are you doing here?
He's been.
Why?
He did a horror movie a couple of years ago, I think called Last Rite.
But
something like that. It was
he was
absolutely
just
terrible.
playing Alfred from the Batman series.
Yeah.
He's just like, he's playing a Dolan, which is what they call the priests that work for him.
But
he's just like, he's the assistant to Vin Diesel, and they talk about like the good old days, which is just lazy script writing for you should have been here back then. It was rad back then.
Before we get too far into how bad it is, and we're going to go.
Yeah, we're getting there.
We're releasing the Band-Aid pretty soon. I just want to say what I liked out of it.
Yes, please do.
What I liked about it is I enjoyed the world of this movie. In a way, and it sounds kind of masochistic of me, I want to see a sequel. I just want to see it done better. This movie here should have been done over a series of 2 films where someone decided we're going to write 2 good movies instead of one really bad movie.
Trying to jam things in
But
weirdly.
The premise of the movie, I thought, was really exciting.
I agree. I mean, you
now,
and I were.
let's go with
You and
the
I
other
were kind of
stuff.
looking forward to it because it did seem like an interesting premise.
Yeah.
And I still believe it is an interesting premise that they just completely failed on.
But when it came down to how it looked, yeah, they had some good ideas, but the CG was
Oh man, was it bad in
worse
parts?
than what I've seen Lon Chaney do.
It was. I mean,
Back in the 40s.
It reminded me of Pan last week, a couple weeks ago, of
No, it was
really bad
worse.
CGI. We have reverted back to 1990s Polar Express Mummy Returns style CGI. Why are we doing this?
Yeah.
If you can't do it right, don't do it at all.
It was worse than Pan, and I would say it was worse than Mummy Returns. And that
Oh yeah,
is
no,
a
it
pile.
is. It was.
That is a pile.
The thing is, Michael Caine. Okay, he's the priest. He has a young apprentice of his own, played by Elijah Wood, another great actor who completely
Wrote in. I mean, just phoned it in.
Yeah, I'm not doing anything for this movie. I made myself laugh in the movie as I sat watching it. I'm like, I need an old priest and a young priest to exercise me from this script because this is awful. And
The more excited you get, the more your halo
Look
goes
out.
askew. Anyhow.
Michael Caine did what he could, but to his credit, he literally slept through 2/3 of this movie.
Yeah. But
Which
he
was probably the
slept
best
awesome.
choice he could make in this movie because it was awful.
I really believed he was in a coma. He did a good job.
There's just so at one point you get Vin Diesel's character together and Elijah Wood's character together. It becomes Law and Order Supernatural Division as they go and interview witnesses and they're like checking crime scenes and like, what are you doing?
And later on in the movie, you think, well, maybe it's going to redeem itself, but it really just keeps digging its own hole. It throws in a twist with Elijah that you really didn't
that's not a
see
twist.
coming
That
or
is just
needed at all.
hot garbage.
And then, spoiler alert, they say there's going to be a sequel.
not
This
happening.
is just a tip of
was-
the iceberg, but it lost so much money and no one's going to it. So
Vin cannot do anything outside of Fast franchise. This is cementing it every time. I hate to say it, but he's trying and he's failing because he chose another monosyllabic role where he's just literally dream walking through this thing and it's bad. And we have to demand more than these movies that we're getting. We have been getting garbage movies lately. Yeah, there's been great ones, but there's been a lot of garbage movies. This is the 118th movie I've seen this year, and more than not have been really bad movies. It's sad when I look at my list. We have to demand more. There doesn't need to be 5 movies a week coming out when 3 of them are garbage.
I think in this case, it was mostly on the director. I
We
don't
got
think the
4 movies here, and 3 of them were pretty much garbage.
Yeah.
That's not acceptable.
No.
Stop it. Why are we doing this? Why are we rebooting bad movies and half-assing decent scripts? This was supposed to be an amazing script. 2 years ago on the Blacklist, they're like, this is the best movie that hasn't been made, let's make it. And then they totally just half-ass their way through it.
Actually, they do have a lot of movies that are good. It's just they put them in limited release so we don't get to see them.
That's the issue, though, because we get this garbage thrown at us instead on 3,500 screens, and good movies are getting 300 screens.
Like we saw earlier this year, we had to go down to the UW to see a limited release of Ex Machina. That should not have happened. You should have made it a major release. They should have ditched Last Witch Hunter. They should have ditched Gem.
Do it right if you're going to do it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I know it sounds easier than done, but I'll give my score. I gave The Last Witch Hunter 1 star.
Wow.
1 star. It was bad.
It
was really bad.
I gave it a 2. Like I said, I want to see a sequel. I just want to see it done well.
The thing is, at one point I'm going, this might be so bad it's good. And then past that point, like I thought to myself, this could just be one of those, it's bad. Halfway through I'm going, Vin's terrible, everything's bad, maybe this could just be fun.
Yeah.
And then past that point, it just went off the cliff. No good.
No good.
All right, moving on. Yes.
Not even for the action. Don't see the action for the action because the action is actually just a garbly mess.
The action is weak. Moving on, though, our Real Reviews movie throwback for this week. We are going back to the year 2000 for a movie called Almost Famous. We've got a couple of movies dealing with musicians and such with Gem and Rock the Kasbah, so why not talk about Almost Famous?
Yeah.
Directed by Cameron Crowe, written by Cameron Crowe, basically the semi-biography of Cameron Crowe, autobiography. Yeah, this is supposedly his story.
I did not know that.
And you want to talk about a cast. Rewatching this, it's been a number of years since I rewatched this. Man, he had so many people in bit roles that were huge actors now. Like, oh, look at that. There's Rainn Wilson. There's Eric Stonestreet. These guys are big thing. Jimmy Fallon. But it's Patrick Fugit as the young man who catches on a gig by hook or by crook using the help of Philip Seymour Hoffman. And he becomes a writer for Rolling Stone magazine at the age of, 15? And goes on tour with his favorite band and learns the rock and roll lifestyle.
I forget, what was the name of the band? It was like...
It
felt like
Swami,
yeah.
Slippy, Slappy, Swami. It starts with an S. I just watched it too, and it's slipping my mind.
It's not Muddy Waters.
It's not Muddy Waters.
No,
that's a real band.
Yeah, that's a real
that would
band.
be copyright
But
infringement.
to me, when I watched this movie, I really felt like this band exists. The
Oh
music
yeah. They did a great job. The music was great.
It was great. Even the stuff that was original, and a lot of movies when they make original music of something of the past, it's way off.
Yeah.
Way off. This one felt like, I listened to this on my oldies station. Yeah. No, it was never invented.
Yeah,
this
Fever Dog. That's a great song,
Yeah, that was a great dog. And then the scene where they're all singing Tiny Little Dancer. I've learned that whole song because of that scene. I love that song, and I didn't love it before this movie.
It's a great movie, and I mean, Jason Lee and Billy Crudup is the feuding bandmates that they've got to deal with. Of course, Kate Hudson shows up, just as she did, and Zooey Deschanel, as they did in Rock the Casbah, and she kind of plays the same character.
I fell in love with Penny Lane that year.
Yeah. That was probably the last good thing Kate Hudson did.
Yeah, that's
15
pretty,
years ago.
That's pretty sad.
Look out. But it holds up really well. Like I said, it'd probably been 13 years since I rewatched it.
Yeah.
It held up really well.
I watched it this summer, and every time I see it, I just fall in love with it again. Yeah. It's a great, great movie.
It really is a great story. Cameron Crowe, one of his better movies. So we recommend checking out Almost Famous.
Just because we look like this doesn't mean you can't keep it.
Take us serious.
Take us seriously.
I've got wings and a halo. This is my real hair, though. So let's take a moment to look ahead at what is going to be coming out the weekend of November 6th, sir. We have 3 movies that will be coming out. The first one is Trumbo. Trumbo, based on the true story of Dalton Trumbo, the blacklisted screenwriter.
Looking forward to this one.
Yes, starring Bryan Cranston and a whole host of amazing actors. And this movie looks phenomenal to me without having seen it. But the next movie coming out that weekend is the Peanuts movie. Based on the Charles Schulz comic book series, Peanuts. Snoopy, Charlie Brown, the whole gang show up. I'm intrigued. Yeah. It's been a while since a new Peanuts thing came out.
This could go either way. I've seen some of the later Peanuts movies, and it kind of lost its charm compared to the
That Great
old
Pumpkin
one.
holds up.
Oh, that one's great.
I'm gonna go watch that tonight.
Charlie Brown Christmas.
Those are great.
Love it.
And last but not least, the blockbuster of the weekend, no doubt, will be the newest installment in the James Bond franchise, Spectre.
Yeah.
And what is sounding like will be the last film for Daniel Craig.
Yeah,
as
definitely
Bond.
Not the last film. They've had a long run so far. I don't think they're going to stop.
The last one for Daniel Craig, and we get Christoph Waltz as the villain. That's great. He's a great villain in everything. So that will be coming out November 6th as well. Can't wait for that. Before we go, though, of course, we have to thank our sponsor.
Oh, yeah.
Marcus Theaters, specifically the Palace here in Sun Prairie. Thank you for sponsoring Real Reviews. We appreciate it. We love coming into your theaters, even dressed like this. They wouldn't throw us out.
They would not. They know
Even
us.
if I'm the only one in the theater, as I was twice this week, they welcome me with open arms and hot buttered popcorn. Thank you for sponsoring us. If you would like to find more from us, you can do so by going on to Facebook, look up Real Reviews TV. That'll get you where you need to be. You can go on to Twitter at Real Reviews TV if you want to watch us on
your TV-like device, where you could only watch us on YouTube. We are on YouTube. You just look up Real Reviews K-Sun or Real Reviews and one of our names if you can't remember K-Sun. But things. You could watch us on K-Sun also.
Listen to us on 103.5 FM. There's an app you can download for 103.5 The Sun. Do so and check out all those things. We can't be missed.
And remember, check your candy. Give it to your parents so they could eat it first.
That candy. Until next week when we talk about Burnt, Our Brand is Crisis, and Truth, my name is Jameson.
I'm Mike Roth.
Happy Halloween.